Part 3. The renewal of parts will now be overviewed. In this section, we shall demonstrate typical procedures in the renewal of brushes and bushings. The replacement of brushes normally occurs when the old brushes have worn down to approximately half their original length. This condition is established by comparison with a new brush. Another reason to renew brushes would be, as seen here, because the leads have been damaged. Brushes must always be renewed as sets. We never mix old and new brushes. Removal of existing brushes will normally involve desoldering the leads. A heavy-duty soldering iron will be required for this task. To assist the heat transfer, apply fresh solder during heating. Then work the lead off the terminal. Pay particular attention to the direction in which the brush leads lie, as the new leads must be laid in the same direction. Removal of the earth brushes on our demonstration model involves the uncrimping of rolled lugs, using heat and pliers to open the lug carefully until the lead can be detached. New brushes are obtained in sets consisting of both the insulated field brushes and the non-insulated earth brushes. Prior to attaching the leads, give the terminals a good sanding to create a resistance-free electrical connection. Once again, using the soldering iron, heat the connection and then roll the earth lugs around the earth brush leads. The combination of heat and pressure will fuse the leads firmly to the lugs. Ensure that the leads are repositioned in the same direction as those removed, or you will have trouble trying to reassemble the starter. Connecting the insulated brush leads to the fields can be tricky. First, ensure that they are positioned in the direction noted earlier, and then remove any impurities using a suitable liquid soldering flux. Very carefully solder the leads to each terminal. Be careful not to allow solder to run up into the brush lead, as this will make the lead stiff and difficult to bend when we come to the assembling stage. Make sure that the terminals are flattened back to allow clearance for the armature. Note that on certain starter fields, the only practical way to attach a field brush is by cutting off the old lead and soldering the new lead to the tail. We turn our attention next to the replacement of armature bearings, which usually take the form of phosphor-bronze bushings, sometimes referred to as oil-light bushings. There are basically two effective methods of removing an old bushing, the first being the press method. A suitable pressing dolly must be obtained, or made up, that neatly fits into the old bushing. Next, the housing is centered beneath the pressing ram and the old bushing simply driven through the bore. Smaller units, where a press is not available, may be replaced between vice jaws. Tightening the vice, as demonstrated, achieves the same effect as a press. A second removal method is used when a bushing is in a blind bore, such as it is within this commutator end housing. The procedure involves selecting a suitably sized hand tap, and with the housing supported in your work vise, we simply cut a thread into the bushing. When the tap bottoms, further turning will extract the bush. A guide to the selection of a suitable tap size is to measure the inside diameter of the bushing. Select a tap size that is 1 to 1,5 millimeters larger. For example, if the bush measures 15 millimeters, then select a 16 millimeter tap. Note that best results are obtained with an intermediate tap. Prior to installing a new bushing, lubricate it with light viscosity engine oil. To do this, fill the bushing with clean oil as demonstrated, then squeeze down on the surface. This will force oil into the porous surfaces within the metal. Shake off surplus oil and the bushing is lubricated for life. New bushings must be carefully positioned and then pressed fully into their bores using a press. The use of a vise to install a new bush is also an acceptable method. After the break, we shall conclude this program with some useful tips.